Hedge the Swordsman here. It's February the 13th, 2024. I just did one video and then I started doing a video on Condor, but I realized I didn't have all the slides ready, so I'm redoing it. So today we got the long-awaited 9 first holes from Pucamayo East, and we were alerted to this fact by Condor. They actually put out 6 hours ago. Results from Condor's Pucamayo drill program will be released Tuesday, February 13th, prior to the market opening. So they obviously don't need to put out a tweet like that, because it's like, right now, for example, 6 hours later, we actually get the news. So they did that, and it's like, that is signal value alone. I thought it's like, okay, if they preempty, or how would you call it, like charge the market in the sense like, hey, don't forget about us, there's going to be news out. So that led me even more to believe that, okay, well, this is probably going to be actually good news. And maybe actually some, one or two juicy assets. That's like something that would make this market care, right? So we got the news, and immediately it's like, okay, I don't see a single barn burner hole here, and you can kind of see the, already two sell recs and all of that. And the thing is, obviously, it's like, okay, for context, I have a lot of shares in Condor. A lot of shares. This might, given how the market works, given how it works on assay results, given how it works if, let's say, expectations were too high. You can check this channel. It's like, I've been trying to keep expectations low, because I know even if there is a deposit there, nailing barn burner holes in the first 9 holes, that is very hard to do. Purina, for example, they had done a lot of trenching. They already knew they were into a feeder zone. They were into a high-grade feeder zone. And at the end of the day, I think Purina was, let's see here. At the end of the day, where can I put this? At the end of the day, Purina was, well, actually 2.8 grams per ton. Yanacocha, 1 gram per ton. La Coipa, 1.37 gram per ton. Pascua, huge deposits, 1 gram per ton. That's the average grade. And I saw some people playing with the idea that we would get 300 meters, I think, if I remember correctly, of like 2 grams per ton or something. That's when I stepped in. It's like, hey, whoa, we should not have expectation like that. First of all, it's very unrealistic. The odds of that would be like drilling a hole into the absolute best parts, the guts of a system, and we're drilling kind of blind. The only thing we have is like outcrops, a ledge of outcrops that runs around 1.5 grams per ton. And the average grade of these deposits is not even close to one is Purina is actually 2.8 grams per ton, 2.5, but it's like they are not drilling. Well, now it's a bad example because Purina already knew where they should be drilling, but you get the idea. It's like you don't get absolute barn burners all the time, even in these systems. And this, 1 gram per ton, 1.37 grams per ton, 1 gram per ton. I think, this is Yanacocha, which is an absolute giant, 1 gram per ton. This is I think this is Pascua Lama. 11 million ounces, 28 million ounces. Purina, higher grade, 10 million ounces plus 78. So basically, I was starting to feel like the expectations are not only pretty unrealistic, even if you knew where the best parts are, but if this is the first try of getting 9, let's say, blind holes down, and just kind of scouting around, because I mean 3 of the holes to the north, they were kind of, you know, testing the porphyry area and all that. So it was getting absolutely, well, those expectations were way higher than I think is reasonable. And I don't know, again, I have no idea what the expectations actually are, the marginal expectations are for people. If people thought that, hey, they were gonna put out a barn burner, you know, some of the best holes you could possibly drill in these systems, you know, that's what they bought for, if you know what I mean. And maybe you don't even know how many were just gonna flip anyway. And like, where is he? OGI said here that you have addressed the issue of risk-reward enterprise in the past. Buy before assets and assume greater risk, or buy after the assets and pay higher entry price, knowing what you have. Right. Would I be surprised to get bashed if this stock goes down today? Nope, absolutely not, because like always, everybody thinks it's, you know, oh, it's everything is guaranteed, let's say, and especially that it's like guaranteed to work out in any time frame. And again, I have a lot of shares, so I'm, you know, this is probably going to be the biggest paper loss, at least for a while on paper, I've ever had, actually, in absolute terms. But I can't afford, and nobody really can afford, to be irrational or anything like that. I mean, most people might be puking or whatever, but I've already simulated. I know there was a chance I was going to take a big hit if they drill 100% dusters, and it's like, that's the end of story. There is probably nothing here. And set up quite a low chance of actually making it work out. So if you remember correctly, the video I did, I was leaning towards decent to good results. I did not think there were going to be 100% dusters. So I would say that is a success, because this is not 100% dusters. But the market obviously works in, it's like expectations versus whatever. And there's a bunch of, I mean, retail people like us here, and a lot of people want to get rich tomorrow and yada yada. So share prices swing wildly, especially because this is probably going to be a swingy day, emotional day. You already have some Celerex out there, all of that. People are going to get sucked. There's nothing that changes sentiment and price. So it's like, I've said as much, like, if you don't, just being, if you, let's say, can handle going into asset risk, I try to keep expectations low, that I would be happy if they show there is potential to let's say, make a discovery here. Not necessarily they will have a slam burner, obvious discovery hole right off the bat. So that was my expectations going into it. I will, however, say I did expect one hole to, let's say, the best hole to be a bit better than what we got. I had hoped for, let's say, 40-50 meters of around 1.5 gram per ton. So it came in a bit below my expectations, actually. And what was I gonna say? Okay, so let's look at some of the holes here. One intro hole, I think this is hole 1. Hole 1, 52. Where is that one? Oh, here it is. Okay, that's one. Okay, that's not actually hole 1, but here we have one hole, 0.83 meters, 0.83 grams per ton over 72.5 meters. That alone is like 60 gram meter, but a sub-interval of almost 19 gram per ton over 2 meters. So that's a high grade. I mean, that's 2/3 of an ounce over 2 meters. That's a high grade hit. All of that, that's like almost 40 gram meter in itself, which is, let's put it at 40 gram meters here. That is not bad at all. Question is like, okay, what exactly is that? Is that a higher portion of the, high sulfidation zone? Is that but I don't think so, actually. This local high grade structures, notably So I don't know, is this part of the, is this a smidge of like, a feeder finger or something like that? Because these are high grades over 2 meters. So first of all, what we can definitely write off, there is something here. There is something here. Otherwise, if this was barren, you wouldn't. I mean, what I was afraid of is that the best grades we were going to see were like 0.3 grams per ton. That even, yes, with a limited 9-hole drill program, if we get up to 0.3 grams per ton in every single hole, then there might be actually nothing there. But that's not the case. So this one, yeah, okay, 60 meters in total. That's not a bad hole. But in that, so the rest of the, if you take away the high grade, this is probably, I haven't done the math, but I don't know, let's say 0.4, whatever. I'm just totally guessing here. But if we just take this in isolation, that's almost 40 gram meters. Then we have a hole here that has two intervals, 1.11 gram per ton over 11.8 meters, and a second interval. Again, this is in the same hole, so it's like a layer cake. 53 grams per ton AU equivalent over 52 meters. So the first one, 13. So together, that's 40 gram meters of bulk mineralization. Then we have, I didn't include the tour dusters as well. So this is, 6? Nothing really to write home about. Here we have, this is not really to write home about in itself. And then we have also a 8.26 over 2 meters in hole 6. So that's obviously coming from, the same area here. And 2 meters. 5, what's that? That's hole 5 and 6. Hole 5 and 6. So 5 and 6, how far apart are they? I can't see what the actual drill distance is. So this one hit a high grade intercept, 8 grams over 2 meters. Or is it the other way around? Okay, 5 and 6. So this hit 19 grams over 2 meters. This hit 8 or 9 grams, 8 grams over 2 meters. I don't know if that's coming from the same horizon or if it's a vein or whatever. And I'm not 100% sure what the actual distance is here, but that's let's say a couple of 100 meters. So again, I don't know if this is some supergene zone. Is it a vein? Whatever. But that looks to be rhyming with each other. They're probably hitting the same stuff. Can we see what was the actual? Let's see this. Oh, and one thing's like to note, I think, that yes, within this bulk of 72.5, this is actually, well, I don't know what this, I haven't done the, because the within this, there's a 12 meter of 4 grams. That's really good. 12 meters of 4, that's bulk, high grade. But in that's 2 meters of 19. I'm not 100% sure what this residual grades comes out at. It might be very, very low, actually. I haven't done the numbers, okay? But if we just stick with this, 204 meters, 19 meters, 19 grams over 2 meters. And we have, where is the other one? Here, 2 meters of 8.26. So this was drilled at 240, 100, early in 6. Early in 6. So that might be a hit here and later here or something. So again, I can't make out the scale, but maybe 130 meters apart or something from just wildcatting. That could be something, and I don't know what that is, but it's something high grade that they have a 2 meters thickness. And then we have some, again, more bulk stuff. And what was the one that, let's see here. So this was so late. This is, I believe, basically drilled immediately, the first hole immediately over the outcrop. And that showed 52 meters of 0.53. So this is, yeah, okay, so those are two, let's see here. Yeah, okay, so this is the layer cake. So when they drilled exactly above the, exactly above the outcrop, they still hit 1.11 gram per ton, which is again rhyming with kind of some of the outcrop samples at almost 12 meters. And then below there was a 52.2 meter interval of 0.53 grams per ton, which is combined 40 gram meter hole. And that's what they 40 gram meter hole as well in the higher grade. That's not actually too bad. I mean, if we look here, so like this is the Kennerland Discovery Studies, and this is 100% grassroots, very limited campaign. 80% of discovery drilling is a 62 gram per ton hole. We did not reach that we were, I mean, at 60, but that's including the high grade. But in this bulk, yes, that would be a 60 gram meter interval. The majority of 2 million ounce deposits have initial grams per ton, gram meter intersects of 50 grams per ton. If you exclude this, we're not too far off from only 9 holes. To capture majority, blah blah, we did not reach 5 meters or more in the higher grade stuff. Here, if a company drills under 4,000 meters at 75 grams per ton intersect, this could be very significant. And it's like median discovery drilling is 4,228 meters. That's the median when a company actually makes a discovery. We are at 2,600 meters of drilling, 2,353 meters of drilling so far. So almost the double drill meters left to reach the median discovery drill program. And yeah, so it's like we're up to, depending on how you want to look at it, we're either at 40 or 60 gram per ton after 2,300 meters. Here is, I mean, this threshold, for example, is 10,000 meters, which would be 4 times as much drilling. And if it does not hit 100 gram per ton intersect, this should downgrade the target. We're not there yet, right? We have 4 times the amount of drilling to do before reaching 10,000 meters. So that means we could have 4 times the amount of holes in reserve, let's say, to hit 100 gram meter intercept. Before it should downgrade the target. What we know is there is definitely something going on there. There is disseminated bulk type mineralization. There is some kind of higher grade structure or vein or horizon, which it is, I do not know. Just that we get 8 to 19 grams per ton. And when you think about, as they say, I mean, this is an absolutely huge target. Well, the alteration footprint is huge. And then we look, okay, how does some of these work? In this case, El Sausal, for example, kind of the same case with Purina. Here you have the outcropping, probably, the guts of it, basically. Here you see like 2 grams per ton, 0.5 to 2 grams per ton, but outcropping for hundreds of meters. There we have one small sliver of a ledge, which has proven to at least contain a 40 gram meter intercept. And this is the Lepanto ore body. And you can see how many faults there are here, etc. And we have no idea where they, and the company doesn't even know where did they actually drill. Because if I'm not mistaken, I think the dark blue stuff here is actual, economic mineralization. And there's obviously faults and stuff going around, and we have no idea if the ledge is one of these faults. I mean, is it here that we drill through? Did we drill through here? I mean, my point is that it's not as easy as it seems to just straight off the bat know exactly where you would get locate a feeder zone, because we have to assume there is, because the mineralization came from somewhere, and then hit it when you're drilling blind. Especially when they're wildcatting a porphyry target as well. So there is definitely something going on here, because this mineralization doesn't come from the fall out from the sky, and you don't get 40 gram meter holes just like that. That is absolutely noticeable. This is not a barren system. There is something going on here. So I would say we kind of have a proof of concept that there's something there, because I was in another high sulfidation story, which drilled undercover, also blind. They put out, I think every single assay was below 0.3 grams per ton. That story kind of got killed basically. First of all, I think they had to drill quite deep, but some of this stuff, I mean, that's starting at almost surface. I mean, this bulk stuff here starts at 4 meters depth. I mean, this, you're gonna be mining this probably economic. Although it is interesting, there's like lead and copper and lead and zinc, so it's like the actual, I mean, this kind of reminds, I'm thinking of Yanacocha or what the hell you call it, which is more, I think that has a bunch of different metals. So this is kind of interesting. I don't know exactly what it means, but as you can see, I was going to say, this is drilled closer to 7, 8, and 9 are drilled. What's the farthest away hole? 7. Okay, 7. Let's look at. Jesus. Can I get a. Seven. Okay. Well, actually, this has 2% lead. I'm just trying to see if we can connect some dots. It's like, how the system might be changing or something like that. But there seems to be some base metals here. And again, I don't know exactly what that means. If it's the same for like Purina, or it's more kind of a... Because as you can see, Yanacocha, Peru, well, they might not even list. I think this one has a bunch of base metals, but you can see contained silver is basically none and void, and I'm not sure that's correct. Here you have Pasco Alama, which is 1 gram per ton gold and 30 grams per ton silver. And what were our silver grades? 33, 19, 17. High grade silver. Okay, so it's mostly silver actually in this one. Well, actually 11 grams per ton of gold. As well, but 600 bonanza silver as well, 36, 90, 43, 33. So silver seems to be a pretty decent component here at least. And this is how it looks. And I think the other holes were drilled. I wish I could remember exactly where they were put out. Because I think some of the like 4 to 6 were drilled here somewhere, and then we have holes 1 to 3 and 1, 2, 3, and 7 to 9. So obviously, as you can see, I mean, it's the footprint of the system is huge. And again, we have really no idea. You have Boogie Silica showing up here. This is the only ledge we have to work with. And yes, they hit a 40 gram meter intercept, so just by chance there is something outcropping here, and hole 1 hit 40 gram meter intercept, and given the how shallow it is, that, I mean, if you had a lot of near surface stuff like that, you could probably make something out of it. And up here, this is where we're getting the high grade hits. And this is basically the, let's say, the entire target system that is wide open. So we have basically scratched the surface and confirmed that there is potentially economic mineralization here, both high grade and bulk tonnage. So, okay, to get back to the, let's say, I mean, as an investor, as a speculator, okay, how do we think this is going to play out? Well, first of all, I think there's a very, very high chance of a sell-off because, like always, and the same goes for Hercules. I picked up some shares after that flush because I thought that, I mean, that story was getting thrown out with, you know, baby in the bathwater and all that. I don't think this is as at all as bad as I think some people think it is. I think some people believes that if they don't hit a 100 gram meter intercept in the first 9 holes, then this story is written off. I don't think the company believes that. I don't think just the fact that they again kind of front loaded the news release. Let's put it like this: it might be they probably hope to see even more, but I don't think. I mean, they obviously had the results when they put out the news release, and they put the tweet out like, "Remember, we're gonna put out the news release," which they didn't need to do at all. So I think, in my opinion, I think the team are not as discouraged as probably a lot of retail people are. We are pleased with the results of this first drill program at Pucamayo East, stated Ever Marquez. Our maiden drill program has identified a substantial mineralized altered area with locally elevated pressures and base metal with some of the best values coming near surface. Intercepts include both long intervals of low-grade precious and base metal mineralization as local high structures, notably 19 grams over 2 meters. We've tested only a small part of Pucamayo and are excited by the potential that remains in what appears to be a much larger mineralized system. All of a sudden it starts to make some sense. So if this is the immediate area, this is the, you know, potential blanket, let's say, of the again immediate area. This is actually the footprint, the alteration footprint of the entire system, and they're getting 40 gram meter intercepts in the first 9 holes up here, and this is pretty much all we got to go on. I mean, yes, there is some outcropping stuff and stuff, but that's about it. We have no idea. Again, where we are in the system, what's underneath the rest of this. So I think management thinks this story is very much alive, and they are encouraged by the fact that they were able to snag both lower grade bulk mineralization as well as high grade numbers in 2 meter intervals. And again, I don't know if that's some kind of higher grade blanket, or if it's a vein, or if it's related to the porphyry or anything like that. But okay, now, long story short. So what do I, how do I think about all this? First of all, I'm ready. There's going to be I think a big chunk of paper losses today. As an immediate reaction. Then the question is, how far? I mean, let's say if this is hard. Let's say, I mean, if I know this market correct, I wouldn't be surprised by 40% down, or even actually more than that. The question is, like, if we open up only, minus 10, 20, which I seem unlikely, maybe, take some off the table, maybe, actually. I would really like to hear what Quinton has to say, because again, I think we're being colored right now about the, in my opinion, probably very unrealistic expectations, and meaning that I think people think the sky is falling. I don't think management believes the sky is falling, and I don't see the results doesn't really jive up with, again, given how early we are, that these were the first 9 holes, just 2,350 meters of drilling, testing 2 different targets. Given that there's both bulk and high grade mineralization up to 40 and 60 gram meters, depending on how you look at it, that is actually encouraging, and especially, I guess, accounting for just how the footprint of the system. Because if you play around with some, I don't know, they tested 900. It's like we can play with whatever numbers we want, but it's like, okay, 900 meters of strike, 600 meters width. If it's 50 meters thick at 0.83, that's 1.9 million AU equivalent. I don't know what the threshold for success is, but that's still 900, 600. And when we look at the overall footprint, this is 1 kilometer. And I think this is 900 meters. So we have high grade stuff up here. We have bulk mineralized stuff down here. But also, yes, they drilled, I guess, on the other side of this ledge here or something. And the holes here, I think, were barren. So it's like, again, we don't really know what's going on. We don't fully know the footprint. We know that there's high grade mineralization here, and there's bulk or more bulk mineralization down here, and that's 900 meters apart. And that's the only thing out of all this that's been tested. So there's definitely economic mineralization. Is there an economic deposit, potentially a large one? I don't know. And depending on what the market does today, I'm not going to say something for sure how I'm going to be acting, because I don't really know yet, and I don't really know how the market is going to react. And I already have so many shares, so it's like it's even hard to be doubling down if the reaction is let's say super wild. But I'm not ruling it out. And again, note, I'm very biased. I'm probably going to take a big paper loss today. Question is, what will have happened within, let's say, 6 months from wherever price we trade at today? That's the question. And yes, of course, we have Cobra Orco and other projects as well. But I'm leaning towards, I think that this is actually, let's say I think it's better than the initial reaction is going to be. That's what I'm going to say. I think it's not as bad as people probably think this is for Pucamayo East itself. But it's again, we can't really afford to be, we have to stay rational, because it's volatility that I was going to say that's kind of your tools in this sector. Like, okay, Hercules Silver went up a lot on no news. Well, it went up a lot after the first news. That's when I piled in. Okay, it went higher. Then Barrick came in. It went even higher. And of course, that's proof of concept that, yes, even Barrick thinks this is so promising just from one hole that they put in 25 million. And according to, who was it? I think it was Rick Rule or Brent Cook or someone who said that they had not even visited the project yet. And then the assays came out later, and the expectations were obviously super high, 130 people in the room and all that. So a lot of people were going to sell regardless of what the assays were. I mean, they were in to get rich from one news release. We got a big sell-off. People were basically, a lot of people, I don't know if they were intentional, all of them, was like they were kind of saying that this story is over. And I watched a recent presentation by Brent Cook, and he goes through Hercules Silver, and he says, "Oh, by the way, this story is far from over. They got 25 million or something of drilling left." And then of course, what is it at today? 88. I mean, it traded down as low as, well, when was the low actually? It's like 71, 0.65 cent, and then went up to 104. Was it down to 60 cents? 65. So that bounced kind of 50% after the dust has settled. And this story is very much alive, because again, it's like they can't, and I explained that was my reasoning, they can't break or make this case, well, they can't either make or break it in just 5-6 holes or whatever they have. There's a lot left to explore, and they were, again, like Condor, kind of wildcatting it. But they did hit one really good intercept on the first try. That's what I mean. It's like when you see, and that's what I talked about when I did the videos on Hercules, there are for sure copper juniors that have drilled better holes than Hercules Silver. That is nowhere near, I think at the time Hercules was trading at 350 million. I think it peaked out at around 350 million. But it's the context that was their first hole. And that's the thing. It's like when people in this case, for example, they look at the results in a vacuum and say, well, this is not a whatever. It's like, this is not a barn burner. But the thing is, Hercules, even though those holes were actually, I mean, from a gram meter perspective, that first hole was actually quite impressive. But the thing is, what made it so special was that it was the first test. These are the first tests of this entire target zone. And they are saying there is high-grade mineralization there, there's low-grade disseminated. And we, again, have no idea where we are in the system. We have no idea where there might be, let's say, where the maybe even better parts, or is this a 0.5 to 1 gram per ton, and it's, the blanket is G thick and yada yada. We have no idea, because the thickness of the blanket varies as well. It's like if you if you drill here, you probably not get almost anything. If you drill there, you might get something. It's like, and I was going to say, and here's where you have a bunch of outcropping stuff, and you can see the dimensions here is not that impressive. I mean, Pucamayo is a massive, absolutely massive alteration system. Here you see advanced argillic. That is what, like 600 meters across or something. This is a 1 kilometer scale bar. So the footprint of Pucamayo East is absolutely massive. It's pretty hard to kill everything here with drilling 9 holes here, especially if they show both high grade and lower grade bulk disseminated system. We know this system, or whatever they hit, it can produce grade. It can also produce, let's say, 0.53 over 52 meters, almost starting at surface. And the question is, what's the threshold for success? I don't know exactly. But the beauty of these kinds of systems is that given they can be like, a blanket type deposit, and again, I don't know if this is a blanket where they're hitting the high grade. They're hitting it here, which is the other side of this canyon. So it's like, is it wrapping around here? That I don't know. Are they hitting? Is it blanket stuff they're hitting up here? I don't know. I don't know. I'm not sure the company knows. But I do think, like a lot of people have aired that I and basically what you get from the news release, that they see this as the first drill campaign. You're probably not going to walk away from a high sulfidation epithermal system if you can get 40 gram meter intercepts in the first tries, and uh, given how large the footprint is, and that you tested there, and 3 holes up here. Especially again if you get 40 gram meter intercepts. But again, I am biased, and it's probably gonna feel like shit today, and people are gonna probably be pissed off. But I'm not sure how I'm gonna play this. Again, it depends, because at some, like, I don't think, honestly, I don't think for everything that these guys have, and with these results even, we're still not pricing in much of a chance that Pucamayo East is gonna become anything worth mining. So if the lower that price goes, market cap goes, the odds get better and better. And of course, I think we're gonna have a second of a phase 2. And if that goes well, we're probably gonna have a phase 3 and a phase 4 and yada yada yada. And of course, you get a shot at Tech's gonna probably drill Cobra Orco one of these days. So who knows? Maybe it's cheap just based on that target, because that's looks like almost a bullseye copper porphyry target. So long term, I'm not. Medium to long term, I'm not that discouraged by this news. But the thing is, again, I keep repeating myself, but people are gonna be emotional today. Some people are going to sell because they have no idea what's going on. They just look at the assay results in a vacuum compared to what they had in mind or something, and they're just going to sell. And that it's obviously emotional, or let's say, sounds harsh, but like ignorant retail investors. Sucks for them, but that's kind of your main tool, I was gonna say, because somebody's selling all these gold juniors right now, and it sure as hell is not me, because I think it's the cheapest sector I've ever seen. But with that said, again, it's like there's still no guarantees. Yes, if price takes a big dump, and it's actually, this ends up being actually a let's say obvious discovery in phase 2 or whatever, you're simply going to make more money if you bought in from a lower price. But there's no guarantee of that. And if it does end up becoming a discovery, even from this market cap, if Pucamayo East does become a legit discovery, 60 million is going to look cheap. If it goes down to 40 million or whatever today, that's just means even more, let's say, rewards in case this works out. So that's why, and I keep repeating myself, but it's like, yes, I am going to again see what opportunity the market gives me. If we would, let's say, have no sell-off, which seems highly unlikely, maybe I'll take some money off the table. If it goes down, I don't know by how much, I might actually even be adding, even though it's gonna, obviously feel pretty bad to like first take a huge hit, not in this position alone, but it's like, since it's such a large position, it's like gonna impact actually the entire portfolio. It's gonna feel bad, but hey, who knows? Or maybe that's like, maybe I shouldn't be doubling down, even if I take a big hit. I don't know 100%. I'm looking forward to hear what Quinton has to say, but my gut feeling is that given that they, again, tweeted that's like, look out for news, and when you read the news release and they're already making it sound like there's going to be a phase 2, I don't think this is as bad as the market is going to have you believe when we open for trading. That's it. That's my version of it. And these are just my 2 cents. And I might end up doing nothing of what I just said. But I think that's like right now, that's how I'm thinking. Again, see what the market does, see what I can, if I can make use of the volatility. That's it. Because it's like as soon as price is too low, I mean, I gotta like that. The question is, okay, where exactly? Does exactly these drill results say about the probabilities of there actually being let's say a major deposit there, or a significant deposit? That I'm not sure, but I do think that's like to rule Pucamayo East out based on these results. I think that is a mistake. I'm just going to put it like that. And how much, let's say exposure, what position size you should have. I mean, that's up to each and own. That I do not know. So I hope, I mean, given how biased I am, given my huge position, I think what I said, etc. I think that makes sense, because like I believe me, I don't want to be fooling myself either. In the sense that's like, oh, I'm gonna make it back. I have to make it back the same way I lost money or something like that. No, that's no reason for. I mean, the entire sector is cheap. It's just the question is, will there be enough, let's say, volatility that actually this is good? I mean, we might learn from, I don't know, Quinton might go through it and it's like, show how discoveries typically work and etc. And it's like explaining that, hey, realistically, if you hit 40 gram meter holes and high grade like this, I mean, that's actually quite encouraging and all of that. I mean, that I can't say, so that we will have to wait for, obviously. But yeah, so those are my 2 cents. And again, it's like you're gonna have a bunch of people that Condor has done pretty. The battery of my mouse went out. Condor has been doing. I mean, it's been beating the market handedly over the. Well, yeah, it's been kicking the ass of the average junior, basically. So there's probably going to be quite a few that might have just watched this, didn't want to enter or wants to enter, and maybe even realizing that these results for a first pass campaign are actually, pretty encouraging. They might, of course, try and get the, let's say, floodgates running. So if you see people that you never really seen in the forum channel before started talking about the sky is falling and all that, just can't help themselves to help out, pointing out how bad things are, then it's like your spider senses should be tingling, if you know what I mean. So yeah, that's it. Let's see what we get here today. But closing statement that, hey, this is what we signed up for in the junior space. If every single let's say high risk high reward story with 10 bagger plus potential would work out immediately or at all, we would all be trillionaires by now. That's not how it works. If a few of them work out, they should pay for a lot of ones that don't work out. I think the jury is still out on Pucamayo East, and obviously the jury is out on the Cobra Orco and Huna Punta or whatever it's called, and stuff like that. So yeah, so we're not actually, I mean, if it falls by X amount, it's like you also get obviously a cheaper enterprise for Cobra Orco as well, etc. So yeah, again, do what feels best for you, that makes sense to you. I would just say that even though it's hard and that's why most people don't do it, always try to be rational and calm as much as you can, and just obsess about the fact that price is one thing, value is another, and it's the, let's say, when it's trading cheaper than the expected value you have in mind. Of course, with big price changes, the cost of the bet changes a lot. So in the case of, if it eventually becomes a success, it's like Hercules, for example. I mean, if if this might turn into a big success. We don't know. It's just that you obviously are going to make more money from 70, 60, 70, 80 cents than, $1.6. That's just how it is. But the jury's still out on Hercules as well, even though at the time when these 3 holes or 4 holes got released, again, that got thrown out with the bathwater. Because people are reacting more to the sentiment, which gets more people to sell, and everybody all of a sudden starts thinking this is, the sky is falling. Plus, everyone else who's seen this run and did not participate, people hate seeing stocks do well that they're not on board on. So people do like to see and probably will try to help out, bringing, creating panic, if you know what I mean. My 2 cents. Thanks for listening. I might do an update later. Who knows? Not investing advice. You do exactly what makes sense to you. And as always, bye bye.